You are about to opt in to Monerotopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now.
Hello. I think we're
get
live.
my first sip of espresso.
Cheerios. Cheerios. Cheerios.
Thank you, Mark, man, for
Thank
bringing
you.
the coffee.
All right, let's see what this is all about.
Thank you so much.
From a gas station.
It's a really
You
good
had me
gas
going. I
station.
thought you were joking at first. Like, this guy knows coffee.
Well, that's where we got all the Cuban sandwiches for the Monerotopia event, actually. I don't know if you have one at the event. They weren't displayed, I think, properly.
I saw people holding them, but I didn't get a chance to. I was so
They were-
busy there.
They're actually really good. They're
Actually
delicious.
pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Well, I had a little pastry from them, too. this
Yeah.
morning. They
Oh,
had,
we
they had
had-
everything.
Yeah, they have empanadas.
Amazing.
Oh my God.
That's
Yeah, we
what
had that
should
last
happen.
night. Yeah.
And they had one, it seems like they had one for every country in Latin America. You see, they had Venezuelan ones, Colombian ones, they had everything.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome.
With the
yeah.
little country names.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't even
We
realize
had
that.
beef and chicken last night.
Yeah, the empanadas. And I saw arepas. Everything.
How's the sound, guys?
Yeah, I just asked them. Someone said the sound is amazing. So that's
Sound is
a good
amazing.
sign.
All right. Okay.
Because we're in a pool area
Yeah.
and the speakers
A lot
on.
of background noise. Yeah.
Yeah,
We covered one with the pillow. So hopefully that's
that helped a little bit.
very technical
Oh, you
solution.
put a pillow.
Yeah, I was like, because he had pills, he was like, maybe that will help a little.
Yeah.
Well, we should introduce Mark for those out there that don't know you yet. I know you're on our show, so probably a lot of them already do. But if you want to just quickly
Yeah.
intro yourself.
Hey everyone, my name's Mark. I've kind of become known as a cryptocurrency documentarian. So I was in El Salvador for the rollout of Bitcoin as a mandated legal tender. I was in St. Kitts, St. Martin, with the announcement of Rolando Bryson, the head of parliament, making Bitcoin Cash his full salary. And now I'm here documenting Monerotopia. So it's extremely happy to be here, to see you guys in person for the first time. We had spoken once. The internet was a little weird, so we had delays. And
you're on a boat.
yeah, I was on a boat.
Yeah.
I was like, you're on a boat.
Being on a boat is one of those things that sounds incredible until you're on it. No internet, everything's moving.
How long
But,
you were living on the boat?
No, I was there for maybe, I guess, a week or two,
Okay.
maybe 2 weeks. Felt like forever.
So Monerotopia, you were there. It looked like you were grabbing some good footage. You had a good vantage point. You were scoping it out. What was your overall take?
So this is a little anecdote for you guys, and you might have heard it already, but I was at BTC Miami, and I was at Monerotopia. Right? So I had always liked Monero, but the elements of Monero that, it's not that I disliked, but the things maybe I didn't understand yet, or maybe had some misunderstandings of, got cleared up. There were so many things I learned. So I learned about CPUs. There goes the umbrella, but it didn't knock the tripod, so we're okay.
I got it. I'll fix it. You go.
So CPU mining and why that's important, and speaking with wonderful speakers privately, which I got footage of to put together a video, and all these things that I learned, and then I compare that with the BTC conference. And if you like BTC, I don't have any problem with that. I'm agnostic as far as what cryptos you liked, but the only thing I really learned there was Cash App, the company sponsoring the event, had Bitcoin t-shirts for sale, and they didn't accept Bitcoin
Yeah.
to buy the Bitcoin t-shirt.
Are you serious?
Yeah, those are the things that I learned from the different conferences. So yeah, I am serious.
What was even their reasoning for that?
I don't know.
That's unbelievable.
I don't know. So I walked around with a GoPro on my chest and went to all the different vendors, because last year, from what I hear, none of the vendors really accepted Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
So this time I wanted to see, has that changed? So I went to basically every booth there and asked, and it turns out that any of the small people, individuals with desks selling little, pieces of art, things like that, they actually did.
Okay.
But a lot of the bigger sponsors didn't. For example, all the mining equipment, right? Most of them did not accept Bitcoin. So this isn't a Bitcoin discussion, of course, but what I got, the impression from Monerotopia is everyone is using it. There's an economy here, and it works. Everything I bought there, I got T-shirts from Crypto Bear. There's that guy selling the spores, all that great stuff. They are actually 100% accepting Monero. Anyway, I was even Cake Wallet was there, and anyway, it was a wonderful event. And I have a lot of takeaways from it that we could talk about through the show, but I don't want to overload you just with the
I'm glad to hear. Yeah, this is our
the
first.
Journalist,
I know.
man. You're the and you were there as a observer. We were just in it. So we're actually talking to you because we want the feedback. Actually,
talking about being in it.
Yeah,
this is your first conference that you've had personally that you've hosted.
Yes.
I was thinking about this when I was walking over because a friend of mine is putting together a conference for women architects. And I'm watching the amount of work and planning that goes into it and all the things that you'd never think about, right? Well, these little badges, right? Where are you going to source them, and the stickers to go on them, and the glasses, and how do you monitor all of these things, and the media. I was very impressed. Not that matters, but I'm sure everyone else was too. And I think that it really did a fantastic job getting people out of the Twitter spaces and able to meet and have real conversations. One more thing, as I've been at the BTC conference too, walking around, I mentioned that the Monero conference is going on, and you would be shocked how many people are like, oh my God, that's amazing. And they didn't know about it this year, but next year, as it continues, you start building up more of a base. And I think you're gonna pull a lot of people over here, which maybe some of the other orange pill people might not be so happy about.
Yeah, I was surprised that. I ran into the day before the event. I ran into like two people right outside our hotel, who we got to talking. They were like super into Monero, and they didn't know Monerotopia was happening. Yeah, they're like, "Where?" I'm like, "Right."
You're like right there, behind you.
Yeah. Like, how do you not like? So I don't know what we were doing wrong in that respect.
I mean, I think it's just that we're a small team, so it's hard to juggle everything.
I don't think you're doing anything wrong. I think you're doing everything right. It's just there's going to be a little bit of lag, but as these things continue. But the point is, everything was planned wonderfully. I don't think there were any, at least from my point of view, there's no hiccups. Everything was smooth. The speakers were fantastic. Coffee.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you got to talk about the coffee because that's important to me.
Okay.
Yeah, the coffee. Well, we were successful in bringing back our green beans from Guatemala.
The weekend before.
We talk about taking a risk. Sunita was like on the brink of killing me at that point.
He's like, Wednesday, he's like, let's go to. I was like, it's okay. We have it. He's like, but I want fresh beans. I was like, oh my God. He's like, let's go to Guatemala tomorrow. And we did.
But it worked out. We had the roaster there on spot, and we were roasting fresh beans.
Got great footage of it.
Yeah. Awesome.
I was happy that we did have a really good crowd.
Yes.
That
and a consistent crowd. It wasn't
consistent crowd. Mm-hmm. I was happy that people were actually doing both things as we intended. So people were going in, obviously watching the talks, but then they were chilling in the chill out spaces outside, and just like I saw little groups of people all day just like creating little powwows and having deep conversations.
In the chairs outside near the cocktail.
For me it was amazing because I was running around, like I would get the next speaker up, and then I'd run outside, have conversations with people, kind of run back in time for the next Q&A session. I personally loved it. It was exhausting.
Oh, I bet.
Oh my God.
That's why I'm really surprised you're doing this, because if I was doing something like that, I would take the next couple months off. And you're here at your hotel. When do you check out, by the way? Is today your last day?
No, tomorrow.
Yeah, so you've got no time at all.
No, we don't. And then we have to figure out where we're storing all our stuff.
Our Indian wedding next week. Oh my goodness. We just got married 2 weeks ago.
In Puerto Rico.
Really?
Puerto Rico.
Congratulations. That's fantastic.
Thank
wow.
you.
Hey.
Thank you.
You know, I saw your hat and it said Brian on the back.
Oh, yeah.
Is that like a Monero term that I don't know yet?
Yeah. My sister got us, his sister got us these hats.
Well, now your sister.
My sister, yes.
Wow.
My other sister. So yeah, then next weekend is the Indian wedding. So I got to finish planning that. So.
And those are usually a couple days, right?
Yeah, but this is going to be like just one day.
Okay.
We can't do many days.
The Puerto Rico wedding was pretty big.
It was pretty awesome. Yeah, it was really nice, overlooking the water. We had like 130 guests there.
That's one of the thoughts. So with Monerotopia, I mean, we're thinking of how to obviously scale it up.
Right.
We're thinking about whether or not we want to keep. I mean, there's obviously benefits to keeping it in Miami at the same time.
Right.
And, running it alongside Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it'll build up momentum. But we're also thinking of just like different locations.
Different
too.
locations, like just
like
try to.
maybe Puerto Rico, Mexico. Places that might be easier for people around the world to get to.
Right.
Like Monero,
America's difficult.
Exactly. Yes. And Monero community has a large population that, doesn't necessarily like even coming to the U.S.
Yep.
So
I can't imagine why.
We're thinking to try to accommodate that as well.
That makes sense.
And I really want to grow the vendor portion of it, make that, kind of. Obviously, we planted the seed with it. I think we've been successful. But like next Monerotopia,
even bigger and better. Yeah, like maybe like a marketplace. Like
I could see that.
More of a marketplace would be amazing.
That'd be really.
We got some. Interesting
we got ideas. Yeah, there are lots of ideas.
Actually, we'd like to continue to bounce off you because I think you're definitely a creative guy, and you seem to have a knack for tapping into what needs to be done to grow. To achieve adoption. I know you've been doing that with Bitcoin Cash as well, right?
Yeah.
You seem to have a good knack for that, understanding that, thinking about, how do we get people to start actually using crypto?
By the way, this is just an aside. During the conference, I walked by and you were onboarding the food truck that came in to accept Monero. And I was filming. I was like, oh, this is great. What a great time to walk by and get footage of this.
You caught that, right?
Yeah, I caught that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you throw that in
your
video. That was a pretty candid, right?
He does that everywhere. He did it yesterday on the beach.
Can you show that video actually now? That was a classic.
And send that video to me and I'll edit it in. That's The adoption part of it is so critical.
Okay. Yeah, I think you even have that tweet.
Oh yeah. You can do that. Yeah, we were on the beach and this guy was selling
that tweet up. This was a classic.
Alcohol, whatever, like beers and pina coladas, and he's like, "Oh, well, you accept Monero?" He's like, "Okay." So then
he was selling pina coladas in like little plastic bags.
Wow,
it happened to be like the
milk
best pina coladas I've ever had. Like
it was really good in a bag. I know that sounds weird, but they were like in a plastic bag, but they were delicious.
You know what? Most places in the world actually sell juices and drinks in bags, and we're kind of the weird ones. With our cups and plastic lids.
Like it's a normal thing.
Yeah.
But on the spot, we got in the download Cake wallet.
Yeah.
And we bought pina coladas for the whole group that was hanging out with us.
So
he gave him his Monero sunglasses, and he walked away.
Nice.
Very much into Monero.
That's awesome.
And I gave him a very solid tip too. So I
that
gave
helps.
Him like $100 in Monero.
Wow.
For so his eyes lit up. But then he was like, obviously, he was like, well, what do I do with it?
Right.
That's always. Oh, and then I did it last night at the restaurant we went to. Tipped the waiter.
Yeah.
We went to a very.
We
went and celebrated. We went and had a kind of our honeymoon celebration.
Good.
We went to this super posh Miami. What was that place called?
Was South Beach?
Villa something. It was right next to.
It was the most money we've ever spent.
Oh
at
my
a
God.
restaurant. Not really our style to go like completely. But we're like, let's live it up.
What'd you have?
We had the seafood platter that was like
insanity.
Lobster at a place where they overcharge for anything, so you can imagine what that like.
Oh, I can.
That alone. And then we got like steak, and then we obviously got cocktails. But the place itself was like complete scene. It was like when you order the bottle service and they come out.
With like
bottles.
flares.
Yeah. But it was actually really fun. It was a really good time. But at the end, service was included. And it was an extremely expensive bill. It was a $600 minimum to sit
where we were sitting.
Wow. And we're like, you know what?
You can imagine. We're like, might as well. Just one day.
We'll just order, Like we're just in Monero. Let's go celebrate.
Yeah.
But then at the end, the waiter was like, well, you can still, still send me a tip. And I was like, all right. I'm like, if you're gonna accept crypto, and I convinced him once again on the spot, download Cake Wallet.
Yeah.
But his same question is this guy. He's like, well, what do I do with it?
Right.
Like, I need the money. I need
right.
the tip. So like with the guy on the beach.
Yeah, it's on. Yeah, I show. Yeah.
I mean, I love this guy. Oh, we also got his phone number too.
Yeah, that's him.
For if we do Monerotopia next year.
Yeah, and he was like, yeah, totally.
He'll come to the event and he'll vend pina colada drinks.
Yeah. And accept Monero.
That's amazing.
Okay, so we told him, we're like, I was like, do you go on Amazon? You ever?
Because it's true. Like we told him to keep it, but if you want to cash out,
all the time. I was like, coin cards. You just go. And we showed him that.
Yeah.
So then he was like, oh yeah, this is a no. Now I'm like, in his mind, he wasn't taking any risk at that point. He's like, I got my $100 in Monero. He's like, he's seeing, and then we explained, you might just want to hold it.
Right.
Probably today he woke up because they're like the price pumped, right? So now he's looking at it. It's like,
I didn't see.
Yeah. We got that Monerotopia price pump. It pumped a lot actually for whatever reason, but,
being that I do a lot of Bitcoin Cash stuff, it's a good thing I don't check the price very often.
Yeah, same in Monero. Are you kidding me? Yeah.
Well, what I've noticed with Monero is when I got into it for the first time, the price was now. I just want to say this: I don't care about the price at all. What I care about is the fundamental properties. And for me, Monero is outstanding, right? In all what I consider something to be sound money. But just as an aside, when I got into Monero, the price I think was 144, and it went up to 400 or something. But it's interesting because the price is very, relatively speaking, stable.
Yeah.
And I think that's because the coin itself is just so sound and it's so stable too, and it has, I think, great branding. I think one of the most it's ingenious is that little sticker that says "Don't buy Monero."
Yeah.
What a strong branding. I want that. Can I get that as a t-shirt? I will wear that as a t-shirt. That is incredible. It's so strong. You get the core benefit of what Monero is all about from it. And I think that there's just so many elements. And after seeing the speakers at Monerotopia and the developers, you have a really strong base. And whether that's reflected in the price kind of being stable compared to other coins, which skyrocket and drop, and there's all this volatility. It feels like Monero price-wise is kind of, I don't know if predictable is the right word, but
it's slightly untethered from the rest of the market.
That's another thing I've noticed.
Not completely,
but
it's, obviously, if Bitcoin crashes, everything goes down with it. But you'll even see on some of those days, even today. Today is one of those days. Vic. I think I put it in the news section. Vic tweeted it out, so you see the Monero. Everything else is kind of like stagnant, and like that's Monero's up. Yeah. So it seems to, when it does go, it goes on its own, separate from the market, which is interesting.
I've noticed that. Yeah.
For whatever reason, one of the reasons could be because it actually has real world use, like we're talking about. So it's not just being used for speculation.
Mm-hmm.
People are acquiring it to use it, to spend it as for digital cash purposes. So
no Shiba XMR is coming. I'm excited about.
I'm sure it is, but yeah. So it is interesting to see that aspect of Monero, that it's untethered. But price, I think price. We spoke about this at the event too, because we had Chad Thackeray give a talk on price. We had Nam talk about Moneros and about. I don't know. Did you see?
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, I only saw parts. I got to go back and rewatch, but it was like it looked like an amazing presentation.
Yeah.
She really.
It was nice. She was very good at making it understandable for people that are new, and for me, I think that's the most important thing. Once you get people in, they're in.
Yeah.
But how do you get people like the local, cafe or the local pina colada seller?
Right.
How do you get them in?
Right.
So
there has
to be analogies, and that she was talking about the soup.
Right.
Right. So she had an analogy about inflation being like adding water to your bowl of soup. And if you have a nutritious soup with big chunks of meat and vegetables in there, even if the water rises, you still have, your nutrition in there. Anyway, it was a great talk. All of it was fantastic. If you didn't come, you missed out. And I have some thoughts about that too. The importance of actually showing up. and the connections that you get and how that makes everything stronger. You see the face-to-face, you see the energy, and it makes you want to, from a marketing standpoint, promote it, be involved in it. From a developing standpoint, continue to develop it. Definitely. So you get galvanized.
Yeah, there's a different energy that comes from being there as opposed to being online every day in the Reddit community, which is great, you know, but actually seeing people face to face, learning who the person is behind the name, if they want to expose themselves. You know, we have a lot of people like whisper in our ear, you're like, you know, I'm so and so from Reddit. Like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But then there's like a connect, like a even if you just meet once in person, because like you see them all the time on the lens, it's like you know them in a way.
Yeah.
But then once you get that physical, real world, face-to-face meet, it like galvanizes the connection. You're like, oh, you're a person too. I'm a person too. You're from wherever, Texas. I'm from New York. You're into Monero. I'm into Monero. Let's work together. Let's work, you know. And then whatever miscommunications were had on the internet seem to like fade away.
It does, yeah.
You know, because then there's that personal connection.
It is, and when you're online, you always assume the worst in an interaction with someone, right? Even if it's cordial, you still assume the worst, I found. But when you meet in person, you always assume the best. So it can be the same conversation, the same content,
right?
But the assumption is completely different, and it's because you can read their body language, you can see, or at least think you see, the sincerity when you speak with someone. So you know, a lot of these Twitter arguments and stuff, especially between different coins, different camps, I found have kind of, I won't say melted away necessarily, but there's a lot more tolerance and a lot more possibility for learning and coming to new conclusions and changing your mind on certain things. By the way, one thing I learned here, I always knew that fungibility was important. And with Bitcoin, I always knew that it doesn't have great fungibility. I had no idea that you could have a Bitcoin that had a bad history, and therefore certain exchanges and companies won't accept it. I had no idea.
Oh, really? Well,
I had no idea.
100%. Yeah.
I knew that could maybe be a possibility with Chainalytics and all these things,
but it's happening.
But I didn't know it was happening.
Yeah.
And my God, what a strong use case Monero has when these things are right here in our doorstep. And that to me was so shocking. And these are things that, you know, everyone's busy, everyone's doing things, and everyone's running around, especially if you're in different camps as far as crypto goes. But when you come to these things, you don't know what you're missing as far as your knowledge goes. There's holes that we all have. But when you show up to these events, you learn things that you didn't know you didn't know. And that can really change your trajectory and really change how you think about your spaces. So luckily, I got exposed to that, which means my audience gets exposed to that. Not that they're a big audience, but you know, I like to think that I make content that's easily understood by people who are coming in, like I was coming in, very cold to crypto. Actually, I have a funny story for you. That is, you know, as far as privacy goes. And if I'm talking too much, just
no, please. This is great. We love it. We want some. Yeah, we're
the
done
coffee's
talking.
Getting to me. So.
No, that's good.
He's like, hello.
So I have a friend, and maybe you want to even bring him on your show. He's a big Monero supporter. His name is David. He's a little bit controversial. He's a YouTuber. And the guy has about 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. He's not a dating coach, but he does travel vlogs, and usually there's girls in his video, and he sells travel guides and things like that. So he sells digital products, right? And his lifestyle, he built up over many years, building his channel from nothing. He used to work.
What's his channel called?
Just his name, David Bond.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you might have heard of him.
Yeah.
He's really big into privacy.
Okay.
Like,
yeah, we gotta get him on.
Hugely, like more than anyone that I know. In fact, he does videos about how to live completely private with everything you do, and I'm almost positive he speaks about Monero in it. In any event, he's also the person that got me into crypto, by the way. But a little story about how he got into it. This was recent, more or less a couple of years ago.
For a sec.
I know.
If that's okay.
Go ahead. Stay. Oh, yeah. Shade is right here, too. So in any event, he was selling these digital products. He was making about $10,000 a month selling them, traveling, doing all the stuff he does. High burn rate when you're traveling with that, you know. Well, long story short, payment processors, Stripe and PayPal block him overnight.
Oh, wow.
No reason given, just gone. So his income goes from 10,000 to 0 overnight. So what do you do, right? He's using that money to travel.
Yeah.
So what happens is he starts looking for a new payment processor. And one of the payment processors he finds is called a high-risk processor. They work with pornography sites. He doesn't make porn, but they'll take him because he's high risk. And they start asking him questions about, who are you? What do you do? All this stuff. Well, listen to this. They want to verify his office. And the problem is he doesn't have an office.
Yeah, he doesn't have one.
Right? He's traveling. His mail goes to his mom's house. So they're like, and I'm completely serious. They say, well, we'll go to your mom's house and check. It's like, no, you're not going to my mother's house to check and knock on the door and say, does David live here? That's not happening. So he's frustrated. He's a friend of mine, so I'm seeing the suffering he's going through. Long story short, someone makes a joke to him and says, well, David, that's why you should have been taking Bitcoin from the beginning. Of course, now we know with fungibility, these issues that he's having are
still going to follow him.
Right? But this is before he even knew what Bitcoin was. And he said, well, how do I know I'm not going to get banned on Bitcoin? And of course, at least in theory, that's not supposed to happen. So he ended up getting into Bitcoin and then he discovered other cryptocurrencies. But that need for privacy was you'd never think you'd be banned from anything until you send some Canadians, $10, right? And it's like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, the thing, it takes some abstract thinking to realize how important privacy is. People hear the word, they just think there's like a bunch of fanatics that are like overstressing about, the tyrannical governments. Like it's, all right, whatever, not really a problem, right?
Yeah.
But it's starting to actually hit home for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's not until people actually have those experiences that they then, open their mind to the fact that they really need it. And unfortunately, I think people are going to be having a lot more of those experiences as, governments become more tyrannical and surveil their citizens more and more. There's going to be a lot of wake-up calls along the way. We saw with the Canadian truckers. We saw people waking up to it with the war in Ukraine, right? And the ability to send funds to the Ukrainian government. People, as they're doing it, thinking about these ideas of, well, wait, if there's Russian citizens in Russia that are opposed to what Putin's doing, and they're using Bitcoin to go fund the Ukrainian government, that might be a bad idea, right? Now you're on this permanent list of sent funds to help the Ukrainians.
It's like the police officers that donated.
I don't know if you want to be on Putin's permanent shit list, right?
Yeah.
So as these events happen, people's eyes open, and like I said, I see, unfortunately, because they're not good events. It's events where people realize their liberties are stricken. That's when they're going to open their eyes and move towards something that solves that problem. And when you start to think about what can you move into or towards, you end up at Monero. I mean, there's like you could start with Bitcoin, be like, all right, maybe that's the solution. Yeah. But then when you go to send that's the other thing too. A lot of people don't actually use crypto, right? Especially Bitcoin or BTC Maxis, like you were saying. So they have all these ideas and these beliefs, but they have yet to really take it off of exchanges. Or even if they did, it's it's on their Trezor or whatever. They've yet to send it around. They didn't go to Monerotopia and maybe buy a magic mushroom growing kit or whatever it is, or maybe something, even more controversial, right, in the eyes of society. And when they go to do that, they're probably going to think twice about at that moment when they now go to send Bitcoin. Yeah, maybe that's when they wake up and be like, wait, do I want to have this transaction permanently follow me for the rest of my life? It's like not until you actually start making transactions do you realize, that there's this permanent record, and if a connection can be made, it's going to follow you for the rest of your life.
With all the shortcomings of Bitcoin, one of the things that it does really well is that it has good stories. It has the story that it's fungible.
Right.
It has the story that it's usable as peer-to-peer electronic cash, right? That you can easily and low fee send it to people. It has all these great stories. Now, what's good about that, objectively, or I shouldn't say objectively, but it's subjectively, according to me, what's good about that is these stories do in fact get people into the space, right? People who don't know about crypto, they hear, oh, this is good for being digital money. You know, it's private, has all these great properties, and people who would normally not get into the space do get in. Now, once they're in my opinion, cream rises to the top. So they start to see, oh, wait a minute. Okay, well, that's weird. I thought that it could do this. I thought that it was fungible. I thought it was private. It's not. But on the bright side, again, at least Bitcoin did bring them in for them to learn about this, you know, the wider set of options that are out there. So for all the negative things we can say about Bitcoin, the stories do bring people in.
Definitely. So, yeah. Without Bitcoin, none of the other cryptos would exist, obviously. Was the first, and it's doing, like you said, it's amazing on-ramp.
Right.
Yeah. Like,
and that's
for
really...
people that didn't know, if you say like, oh, Monero, they'll be like, what is that? Like, Bitcoin? Yes. And then you explain what Monero is.
What's also great with the Bitcoin meme of only 21 million, which it's just it's a very simple thing to explain. Also makes it very alluring when you're trying to onboard people, right? And because you express that idea as well, like, well, there'll only ever be 21 million, so here's some Bitcoin. Now you own a percentage of this fixed amount, and so their eyes kind of light up, like, oh, because they see the scarcity, right? So that's a very compelling thing that drives people into it. That's the whole digital gold thing. But as we always talk about, that also works against using it as a currency. So it's like, it's kind of the best thing for Bitcoin, but it's also its own worst enemy, in that the number go up thing has kind of brought the technology itself to a standstill. Yes, it's bringing people in because they're out of greed. They want number to go up. And they're like, oh, I just want to collect some Bitcoin. But then they don't want to use it, and then they're willing to also ignore all the shortcomings, the fact that it's not private. They're willing to pretend that doesn't exist. Yeah. Because like, oh, well, whatever. There's only 21 million. The price is going to go up. There's a lot of that going on, but it's great that that pulls people in. But I think it also obscures people's understanding of the bigger picture of what these cryptos need to be to actually be useful.
Yeah, I can see that. And, well, I'll say this. My views on privacy have really shifted in the past few years, actually on a lot of things. And, I was always under the impression that, look, we really don't need to worry about this kind of stuff. Like, yeah, maybe if you're in some kind of regime, but by and large, privacy, I'm not doing anything wrong. Right? That's sort of, who cares? Right. These things started getting changed for me, especially with what happened in Hong Kong. So China took Hong Kong. I forget how many, it was like a few million people went out in the streets to protest, and solidarity, doing everything. They lose all their rights. They have nothing, right? People are getting taken over to China and prosecuted for selling books, disappearing. All of these things that are happening in Hong Kong. And I'm thinking, wow. Because I always believed, especially when it comes to, I don't know what your feelings on guns are, but I had been anti-gun my entire life. And people had always said to me, well, what if the government becomes tyrannical? And my thought process was, well, come on. If the government wants to get you, they're going to send drones in and get you, right? Right. But then I saw in Hong Kong, I'm like, if all those people had guns, would that have happened the way it did? Looking at the subways, I remember the Chinese government had people come in white shirts and just beat people half to death on the subway. Do you remember that? If those people were armed, would that have occurred? And then I started thinking, well, all these rights that we're kind of just giving away because I'm not doing anything wrong, when you need those rights, it's too late. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So that's scary. And I think that for as bad as you said, the tragedies of Ukraine and Canadian truckers and financially censoring people for sending them money, there is an upside, which is if you want to erode rights, the best way to do it is gradually and slowly, where there's no big event, right? But once you do something like financially censor people sending money to people in Canada, even regular people start saying, wait a minute, that's not good. So these big events that are tragic, that bring a lot of attention, I think the positive of it is when you encroach too far on someone's rights, then you start waking up.
Right.
And I think that recently what we've seen is governmental bodies being a little bit too ambitious and a little too aggressive with overstepping that line too much.
Yeah, which is really interesting because, like, why? Like, why is it accelerating, right? I mean, obviously COVID was a catalyst where governments then use that to encroach on people's liberties, whether they did that purposely for that reason or it was just a result of COVID. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I usually just think, things happen because, there's certain incentives that it makes sense for it to happen. So COVID, whether or not, that was something that naturally occurred or was started by, I don't know, the Chinese government, that's besides the fact.
Don't get banned from YouTube. Yeah. Are they banning for that anymore?
I don't know.
Are they letting people say what they want now?
But even if you ignore what the source of it was, what we do know is when incidents like this happen, governments react, and when they react, they always react in a way where they take more control over people. They use it, not even necessarily. Well, I think essentially they do. They see it as an opportunity to wield more control over society. Any big major event like that, where government has to come in and react, and where society's now okay with them taking action. Right. It's like, there's this emergency.
Yes.
Everybody, this is an emergency, guys. I know normally we're concerned about, freedom to associate and freedom to act freely in your economy. But this is an emergency now, so we got to shut everything down. And, unless you don't care about people and you don't care about your fellow citizen, you should be okay with taking this measure. And that's what we saw with COVID, and that's dangerous. And that's where I think we really saw the acceleration. And then governments just continue to feed off of these events and seize more power. But it seems to be happening kind of at an exponential rate, it feels like. I don't know, maybe just because we're living it. And I think it's that combined with the technology that governments now have, which is the fact that everybody is digitally connected.
Yeah.
And so it's easier for them to then really encroach on people's liberties kind of instantaneously and globally and control everybody with, essentially a few political moves.
Here's a thesis for you. I think that the more something becomes abstracted, the less we're willing to defend it. So, for example, most people would be pretty furious if a police officer stopped at their house and just opened their mailbox and started opening letters and reading it. Like you look out your window, that would make you furious.
Right.
You wouldn't stand for that, right? You would go to your city council, you would do all these things. But with email, text message, like the more abstracted, the less physical it gets.
Exactly.
Now, one of the problems is everything is becoming less physical. Conversations, emails, money, right? So as these things become abstracted, it's not like someone's coming to my house, opening my wallet and like writing down the serial number. So no problem, right? But they're doing that with Bitcoin. It's abstract. So I feel like that's maybe part of why it's feeling like it's accelerating.
Major factor. Just the ability to surveil is getting exponentially easier for governments.
Right, but specifically, they're watching us, I guess you could say, and that sounds a little conspiracy theory, but no, but seriously, the more that they're watching us in ways that aren't physical, right? It's not like someone's standing outside with binoculars, but that will tell you less information than the kind of tracking that they're actually doing.
Yeah.
But because it's abstracted, it's separated by a layer. It suddenly is kind of far away, even though it's far more invasive.
Right.
So as the technology gets better and more prolific and comes into different aspects of our life, it's going to feel like it's accelerating, but it's just because it's becoming abstracted, we care less about it. Maybe, I don't know.
No, but spot on.
But
I always like
let's do the price report in a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I always like that expression. Not caring about privacy because you have nothing to hide is like not caring about free speech because you have nothing to say, right?
Nice. I hadn't heard that before. I like it.
That kind of sums it up, right? So,
new Instagram post.
So yeah, I think that sums it up. So and unfortunately, it's not not until it's in your, like we're saying, until it's in your face. But in this day and age, it's really not. You don't realize it's happening, but it is.
Yep.
If there was an NSA agent standing here in the physical, looking over our shoulder, that would be super creepy.
Right.
But the fact that it's happening online and all our data is being put into these silos through the companies that we use, and then somehow making its way into government servers, abstract, don't realize it's going on, and don't realizing that what the effects of mass surveillance actually are.
So it feels like, with that said, what will get people to react, it's when these abstract things become physical.
Right.
When you try to give money to a trucker and then your bank account shut off, that you can feel that.
Exactly.
So in a way, these things are kind of good because maybe these will be the initial seeds and pushes for people. I mean, we already saw with Ukraine the wave of new people into cryptocurrency because they're seeing a use case for it besides this, thing young kids or what, however some people might perceive it, especially people in my parents' generation. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Price time, huh?
Yeah, let's do it. Just
price time.
Price time.
I want to talk about. Did you watch the Philip Zimmerman talk at the conference? That was the guy that
called in. Two called
Yeah.
in.
I did actually
talk about that for a second.
All righty.
Yeah.
Let's go to the price segment.
The Monerotopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Local Monero. Avoid using KYC exchanges. Buy and sell Monero directly for fiat, peer-to-peer.
Aloha.
All right.
How are you?
All right.
Thank you for being patient. I know. We're just still super.
That's good. That's good. So it's nice to see you all again. And apparently I saw almost all of the speakers from morning 8 a.m. to night 10 p.m. I'm pretty sure it was very busy for you guys.
Beautiful.
Oh yeah.
And I think the most that stood out for me was Nam Sardar and Chad Thackeray. I think they were really eloquent, and of course also the other speakers, including Phil Zimmerman.
See, that's interesting you say that because they're the ones that spoke about Monero mostly in terms of price and adoption, which I think it's a good point. That's why I do think price talk is important because at the end of the day, it's an indication of adoption and it gets people excited as well about the growth of the protocol, and it's indicative of the growth. As price goes up, you could assume that the network itself is growing as well.
Yeah, price is kind of like a drug without a drug.
And that's why we have you on every week. What is
it's
report? I think we have a good one today, right?
Sorry, I missed that.
I'm saying, what is the price report? Let's get it. I think we have a good
let's get in this.
Today, right?
I just added this on the top, the price report guy, because when I was in the chat in the virtual conference, somebody was saying that, hey, here's this price report guy, and I just
there you go.
All right, so what's in today? So this is what is the market situation. I always start with the image these days. So most of the guys are loaded in the crypto market. They're waiting for a bull market, but their bank accounts are pretty much empty. And I'm also started to see, even in my network and even around, that people have started taking loans, which is a bit worrisome to me. But that is how usually the bull market gets started. So that is pretty. That's like the human nature repeating. So yes, today I'm going to start with the fear and greed and the technical analysis, and also what's going on with Monero. So let me jump right into that. So we see that the meter is back into fear. which in my opinion is pretty good because I don't want to go to something like 90 and then crash back down. So slower the better. Um, second. Yes, so this is the Google Trends. I'm also see very slightly the Google Trends meter is going up. This is still for the last 3 years, but if you see the last 5 years, it's slowly trending up. It's not as fast, but I think slow is better. This is the, I just drew this on CSV, the number of transactions per day in the year 2022. And I also see the average number of transactions, sorry, the volume. This is the volume, not transactions, my fault. This is the volume per every day. And the volume is actually going up. Right now, it's averaging a little more than 200 million of volume overall on all exchanges. So which is pretty solid. Before it used to be 100 million. So now it is going up. So this is volume. Let's see the charts now. So I'm going to show the XMR. I'm going to start with that, the XMR USD chart. This is the weekly chart. And I've been telling that we must see full green candles. So we have on a candle, we have open, high, low, close. So this is the low and this is the high. And this is the open of the candle and this is the close of the candle. So this one is where the open as well as the low coincides. And can you hear me, guys?
Yep, we got you.
Oh, good, good. So this is when the open and the low of the candle is coinciding. That is like, I would say, the full candle. And we have been consistently getting this candle, which is a very good sign. So this is on the weekly. On the daily, it's not interesting because the RSI is little overbought. So we pumped up today with 240 odd. And also, I want to point out that I've also been telling about this support and resistance of 180, which has now become a good support. But there is this resistance of 220. It's been fighting around this resistance. And now, as soon as we got good volumes above this particular price point, we shot up. That's exactly what was happening. I was kind of expecting this. I will just show that as well in one of my posts. And this is the monthly chart. And there is something really interesting to see in this. Whenever we So this is like covers the entire month. So whenever we see the complete candle where the open and low coincides, which is the full candle, with a nice price spike, we get a consecutive second candle as well. And that's historically happened only a few times. So this is like once in 2017, this is in 2019, this is in early 20, mid 20s, and now we are seeing that again. So I would like to wait for some more time for this month to complete to see emergence of another green candle, and that will be awesome because if then the momentum is really on the get-go basically. So this is on the Monero chart. Let's move on to the XMR BTC, and I think this has also been doing pretty well. It's a little bit on the um, in the Bollinger Band, it's a little bit on the high end, but that's not a problem because we are getting a green signal, which is the trend is still up. So this might extend if Monero does well. And as we know that BTC has been consolidating around this 44,000-ish levels, and I think it might continue to remain so with a very good support around $40,000. And this is what is the crypto cap. Not going to cover this because nothing interesting. It covers the entire market. It's just been consolidating just like Bitcoin. And yes, this is Bitcoin. And I think as long as we hold the 40,000, which I believe that we should, we're going to just flirt around this resistance of 44,000. Let's take a little bit of time around that. This is the medium-term trend line, which is going to be around, I think it can dip down a little bit more to 41,000-ish to basically scare away some of the short-term hodlers, and then we move back up. That is my expectation, I believe, because Maxi is also doing fine and RSI is also not on an overbought. Yes, so this is, I think, the last part I want to cover for today is the 220 line. If we see the last 90 days, I just want to show how the beautiful technical analysis can be. Let's see. So even in the last 30 days, as soon as we comfortably broke above 180 and that resistance became a support, so we've been flirting around 220 a number of times, and today was a good time to actually go up because the volumes were very importantly going up as well. The only thing that I would like to see going forward in the coming days is that it sustains above 220 and makes 220 as a solid support. And when it makes 220 as a solid support, I can say quite confidently that we're going to go up. I think the next resistance would be somewhere around 320 is actual resistance, but there can also be something around 260 to 70. But I would aim for something like
Are we on
320.
track to hit 420 on 420 again?
Let's hit to 320 first. But yeah, I heard what's the 420 thing.
420 is it was traditionally a day where people that enjoy smoking weed
Okay.
collectively smoke weed on that day around the world. But last year, I don't know if you realized, but Monero's price actually hit 420 on 420.
Oh, okay, all right.
No Elon
But you
Musk.
know, I think when it hits 420, everybody's already high, so we don't need weed anymore.
Exactly.
And yeah, I think that's for today.
Amazing, man. So what do you think of the fact that it looks like a lot of the major coins are in the red today, and Monero is
Yes.
up like 8%? Is that the
Abs-
Monerotopia afterglow? Is that the Monerotopia?
that that is a good point. I think people have been noticing your conference, your shows, and yeah, it's a difficult question, but it's an interesting afterthought. It
Yeah,
could be because of Monerotopia.
we'll take credit for that. We'll take credit.
Should.
And also, I think Monero is like the one of the top 50 coin. It was at least a few hours ago. So I think we're getting there.
Yes.
Looks good so far.
All right, man. Exciting.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
It's a
Appreciate
good day in
your
Monero
report.
land for price, that's for sure. Thank you, aFungible.
All right. Ciao. See you offline.
See you offline. Bye. So yeah, Chill was hanging out for a second, but then she had to leave. So
she can't jump on?
she can't jump on. But we obviously have Mark here, so we'll put on
The
our
Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys.
All right.
Hi, Mark.
Hi. Good to see you.
Yeah, sponsored by Cake.
How's your day been?
It's been great. How about yours?
Great. So the price segment that we just heard made me think of I need to stop being so nice. You know what happened at the Monerotopia event? Crypto Bear was there, and I was talking with him, and he was very intelligent, and I can't wait to show the video because I have him interviewed.
Yeah, he's awesome.
But I bought some of his merchandise, and as I'm standing there, a few people came in wanting to buy some stuff too, but a few didn't have any Monero on them. They spent it all, or I don't know what happened. And they asked me to buy the merchandise for them with Monero, because Crypto Bear only accepted Monero, not fiat. And then I would take the dollars. And now, next day, I spent like $100-something of Monero for these people. Thinking,
Oh,
man.
Tell us about it.
Next
You've been doing
yeah, we did that too,
quite-
actually,
You've given away a
Pastor.
lot of
I
Monero.
know,
Listen,
I like cry every time.
If
I
you're
send
coming
it,
to
but
Monerotopia, bring
bring
Monero.
your own Monero.
I love giving away Monero.
Yeah.
Sunita always looks at me because I
And
get a
he's
little,
like,
I get a little
yeah.
carried
I'm like,
away,
these
so-
aren't the dollar bills.
Not to
if I
interrupt you.
see that somebody's like actually appreciating the
Yeah.
idea and that they're getting excited, I mean, it returns itself in investment. It's,
Well,
you know,
I never-
It's the only way it's going to work is if you.
That's true.
If you spend. So.
Well, I never feel bad about giving crypto away to someone who doesn't have any.
Mhm.
You know, $5, $1, that I'm completely fine with, because for me that's the point, right?
Yeah,
Is get
yeah.
people using it. But if you already know about it, then there's not that.
Right. No, they're just trying to acquire.
Yeah.
There was quite a few people at the conference that were looking for traders, peer-to-peer,
Yeah.
which that was interesting to observe.
Yeah.
Obviously, nothing wrong with that as long as they're meeting in a peer-to-peer way.
Yeah.
Because that gets controversial, right?
Mm-hmm.
Local Monero, this idea of trading peer-to-peer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know, in Florida, actually, it was a couple of years ago, there was somebody on local Bitcoins who basically got accused of being a money service business because he was essentially, selling his Bitcoin for cash. So it's scary that something as simple as that, you having Monero, I having cash, and us as two human beings coming together in the United States of America and deciding to, here's my cash, here's your Monero.
It's absurd.
We have to think twice about whether or not, that's a gray area, right? That's really sad.
It is. It's absolutely absurd.
So I always, tell people, doing it peer-to-peer is 100% the way to go. But, watch who you're doing it with and make clear that, you're not doing it as a business. You're just doing it as a need. You have some Monero and you're personally in need for some cash for your own use. And the person who has cash is in need for Monero for their use. And there's nothing wrong with, in conversation, making it clear. That's, honestly, that's, how people need to operate, because it is a gray area. So just be careful out there. Peer-to-peer is 100% the way to go, because you can do it without KYC, AML, especially, like I said, as long as you're not doing it for business purposes. You're not in the business of selling
illegal
selling
exchange.
Monero for cash. But if you're doing it as a hobby and out of need and for purposes of use, that's the way to go. And I suggest you always make that clear to whoever you're dealing with. It's good advice, and it's important to get that out there, because I did see a lot of people at the conference talking about it. I even said, just do it, but make sure you always make that clear. Because who knows was that conference, right? I mean,
that's true.
No, you're talking
That's true.
I
You never
to a few
know.
people where it was quite obvious. I was like, okay, which is fine,
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to the news segment. And then
go
we'll
on to the
jump
news
onto the
segment, yeah.
viewers on stage, because there are some people that want to jump
All
on.
right, great.
So.
It's the viewers on stage. The Monerotopia weekly news segment is sponsored by iVPN. Use a VPN to help prevent your online activity from becoming a permanent record. iVPN encrypts your data and DNS requests so your ISP or mobile network provider cannot monitor or log your online activity. Purchase an iVPN service today anonymously with Monero.
Dokily dokily.
Oh yeah, Crypto Bear says he can't jump on. He has some things to do, but he would have totally jumped on. He had a great time at Monerotopia. Yeah, he was
awesome.
he was amazing.
He
in
was
every,
amazing,
in every
yeah.
way. In every way.
All the performers were amazing.
No, but it's
They were pretty
amazing too
awesome.
that he was in his costume the entire time.
Yeah.
He was selling his products.
Yeah.
And he was like, came up to me, he's like, I'm really hot in this. But he
bet,
and he did it, and then he performed in it, and he did like 6 songs.
Yeah.
And it was the first time he ever performed live. And
he
told great.
And it was
I
amazing.
thought it was great.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great. It was really great.
I was very
There's a
impressed.
decent amount of people still
Yeah.
left. I mean, kudos to them. It was a long day.
It was
And a lot of it-
8 to
8
11.
to 11
Like 11 at night,
Night,
not like
yeah.
11
a.m.
a.m.
It was insane.
Yeah.
But you could see the passion in him when he was out there performing, and like how much he believes in these ideas as he's rapping about, singing about it is impressive.
All right, the news segment, my friend.
All right, well, didn't
It's
really
quick,
have much
yeah.
time to put anything together, so I just Kevin Wad had put out a tweet. Exchanges, Binance, and Huobi have stopped Monero withdrawals. Be careful. I haven't really seen anything about that other than this tweet, but that is interesting. We've seen that quite a few times when Monero price starts to pump, and then for some reason, all of a sudden, you can't pull your Monero off the exchange. Isn't that an odd coincidence? So I don't know if you're familiar with the discussion that takes place in the Monero community with regards to thinking that maybe some of these exchanges are selling paper Monero. Have you heard that, Mark?
I haven't heard that discussion. I'd like to.
So the idea is exchanges, centralized exchanges, A lot of them don't list Monero, some of them do. But there's this concern that maybe some of these exchanges that do are in the business of customer comes, they buy their Monero, they sell them the Monero, but because people aren't pulling their Monero off the exchange, they theoretically don't even have to have the Monero to sell them. And because it's Monero and you can't see the transactions, it's difficult to verify whether or not the exchange actually is holding the Monero, as opposed to something with Bitcoin where you can, see the exchange's wallets. With Monero, you don't really know how much they have and whether or not they really have what they're selling. And so when you see these price pumps, you inevitably see these closing down of the ability to withdraw your funds, because it's kind of like a bank run. They don't really have the funds for you to withdraw. And so the idea that, maybe these exchanges are doing this because, one, they can profit off of it quite a bit because they're selling something that they don't really have, right? It's kind of like fractional reserve at that point. And two, maybe they want to be able to control the price of Monero.
Yeah, it sounds like it. That's an easy way to manipulate the price and make it not attractive.
Yes.
Depending on what your needs are.
That was that's happening today. We could talk about anybody that wants to jump on stage and has more information on that. We should have brought that up with aFungible.
Oh.
Another tweet. This is just another one of the popular tweets from this week. After going to Monerotopia, I decided to get Cake Wallet. I've officially joined the Monero world. So that's just encouraging to see, some anecdotal data of Monerotopia doing its job, right? So if somebody came to Monerotopia and now is into Monero and using Cake Wallet. So that's very nice to see. I think she works on TechLore.
Yeah, she's TechLore. Yeah,
right?
she's part of the team.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. That's all you get.
One of my more exciting conversations at Monerotopia was that young Indian couple.
Yes, I forget their name. Yeah, I forget their names, but
they had met us last year in Miami at the Bitcoin conference, and they said that's why they're now into Monero.
Really?
From the conversations we had there, they got interested about Bitcoin's lack of fungibility, and they went and started doing their research and watching us. And they were at Monerotopia, and they were like, whatever we can do to help you guys. So that was another anecdotal, experience where I was like, oh, wow, looks like it's working,
Yeah.
What Bitcoin, the conference specifically, is doing wrong more than anything else is, I don't know if you know this, but the exhibitors are told they're not allowed to speak about any other coin.
Yeah, well,
explicitly, you will be kicked out. Non-refundable. You lose.
We are aware of that from last year.
So that's that to me is insane. That's so crazy to me, because for me, fundamentally, we're talking about technology, right? Facebook is the big social network now, and eventually it will die, and something that hopefully is better will take its place, right? Technology improves. We're not driving around Model Ts. So if you have an echo chamber where you're not even discussing alternatives, what's going to happen? It's sort of like Ford. Ford is talking about Tesla, I'm sure, in their boardrooms. They're having discussions about how they can catch up, how they can make themselves better. Bitcoin doesn't want that conversation. And when you have coins like Monero that are fundamentally significantly better in almost every way, you stay blind to that, you're going to have these people that have conversations or do their research, and they wake up and move out of it. And at the Monero convention, there was no cramping down on people discussing other coins.
No.
And if anything, it makes it stronger because the developers here and marketers and people developing technology for Monero are going to hear about, there's actually this cool feature from this coin. Let's think about how we can do that with Monero, and with adoption, that's especially true.
Yeah, I mean, they were talking about Zcash and the tech that they're adding, and whether or not Monero will eventually try to adopt that tech. The Monero community is really good. It has this nice culture of skepticism and self-analysis. If anything, I'm more on the extreme side of not being good at that. Although I think I do a decent job. But there's those in the Monero community that are really good at treating it simply as a technology. And always trying to take this scientific method approach towards it. I don't know. I'm sure you heard in some of the talks, especially the devs. They're very and I've interviewed a lot of them on the show and really get into it. I'm trying to be like, almost kind of hype them up about Monero, and they're always like, well, it's not perfect and it's always evolving, and here are the things that are bad about it, and they're always very careful to make sure that's explained. And they're most interested in that aspect as opposed to being most interested in the what appears to be working aspect. And that's very, very encouraging to see. In Bitcoin, it's kind of the opposite. You don't see them actively talking about how do we improve fungibility. Rather, they're making arguments as to why Bitcoin may theoretically be fungible, or why it doesn't matter, instead of being like, all right, it's 100% broken and it needs to be fixed. And you know why, but it's just interesting. Encouraging to see. I think I saw Andreas Antonopoulos. This was at the night of Monerotopia after it was all said and done. Went on Twitter, and I saw a tweet from him. I don't know if you want to search it, because I was surprised to see it.
You want to catch that before I hit someone?
Yeah, I'll go get it.
Sorry, guys, we're in the
See if
pool
you can
area.
find the Andreas Antonopoulos Monero tweet.
You want to do the thank you to
where
the viewers?
Where he basically, I think, announced that he's selling Monero merch on his website. Like, added a Monero T-shirt, I believe, or something. You got it?
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah, here.
Yeah. When did you tweet that?
That was
Screen share.
Yeah. Tab.
Yeah, so Andreas, the day of Monerotopia, by the way, a coincidence.
Ooh, look at that.
Coincidence.
Whoa.
The day of Monerotopia, Andreas Antonopoulos tweets, "We've got another design in the Antonopoulos shop. Show your love for Monero with a T-shirt or mug."
Wow.
I don't know. I'm gonna say that's
There's one
on
ring
the day
to
of
sign them
Monerotopia.
all.
I think we got to take credit for that one.
Nice.
Too.
You're welcome.
Now, I was going to tweet him out, which I'll do after. I'm going to ask him, does this mean we'll have you at a speaker at next year's Monerotopia? Like, what? He should be there. That's where he should be talking.
Yeah, bring a few shirts to sell a booth, so I can buy one.
Let the Monero audience, kind of grill him a little bit and talk about fungibility and Bitcoin and what he really thinks of. Basically, Antonopoulos's take is Monero is a necessary tool in the crypto space. It's doing digital cash better than any other crypto is what I hear when I hear him talk, but only use it when you need it for purposes of staying private, which I think is that's where he becomes a hypocrite in my mind. Why would you say that? You should be.
So what would be your counter argument to that?
Well, my counter argument is that he should be encouraging everybody to use it, because if his goal is to prevent mass surveillance and create the adoption of digital cash, he should want the default use to be for purposes of digital cash. And that if everybody's using it, now you've increased the anonymity set of the user base itself. So there's no assumption that those who are using it are only using it for purposes of hiding. And so if you believe in this idea that crypto should be this tool for censorship-resistant private transactions, then you should encourage everybody to use the tool that does that the best.
Wait, I thought we just wanted store of value.
But I'm saying that Antonopoulos doesn't talk about store. He talks about it for those purposes. So why would he be hesitant? And then he argues because, Bitcoin has liquidity. All right, well, you're literally the number one voice in crypto, right? At least he was. But when he talks, people listen. He's an amazing influencer in the crypto space. So if you're worried about the fact that Monero doesn't have as much liquidity as Bitcoin, that's something you can easily change by going out there and start talking positively about Monero and say, use Monero, guys.
Yeah.
Now you're shifting liquidity into Bitcoin by being a positive voice.
Yeah, and one of the things about liquidity, and this is a question, not really a statement of mine, is how much do you really need, right? Like for the average person, do you need millions of dollars of liquidity to dump your money, for these huge investments? If you're using it as peer-to-peer cash, how much liquidity do you actually need? Is it necessary to have, a market cap of 1 billion, or is it okay to have a market cap of 100 million to be useful and to have some liquidity there? I don't know. I don't know how much you need, but it feels like
it depends how much you're looking. I think theoretically you're going to want the liquidity to be as large as possible. But I think what you're seeing with Monero is the liquidity matches the actual usage. And like we said, because nobody's really using crypto, it's indicative of how much people actually are using. And I think that Monero's market cap, just, me theorizing, I think probably reflects pretty closely to what the market cap of digital cash should currently be, because it's based more on adoption than speculation.
Well, that's kind of my point here, is right now we're so early that I don't think it's a rational argument to say that Monero doesn't have the most market cap, therefore we shouldn't use it, because it's new. It just needs enough to function, and as more people come into the space, it naturally grows. So I don't understand why you would exclude Monero because of the market cap, because of the liquidity, because there's only so much you need right now at these early stages.
It'd be like excluding Bitcoin because of the liquidity when it was $10.
Right, exactly.
Well,
the logic of it doesn't make sense.
It's only, the market cap's only 100 million.
Exactly.
It's never going to work.
Right,
well,
right.
The market cap is going to grow as adoption grows.
Right. Yeah. So that argument for me doesn't make sense rationally at all.
We have people waiting.
Yeah, we have people waiting.
Yeah,
so we're going to and then we can continue to talk, but he's taking a break from work. So.
It's the Viewers on Stage segment. It's that time where we invite you, the viewers, up on stage to comment on anything you've heard so far today, ask the guest a question, or maybe talk about one of the news topics. Come on down.
Tony!
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going, bro?
Tony.
Hey guys, hey. Oh my God.
Actually functioned.
Yes.
So he stepped up. He was a volunteer. He ran the audio visual.
Yes.
Basically.
Because we had this one person who was going to come. Tony was going to help us, obviously, but then apparently his flight got canceled.
Whoa.
Our main guy. So then
AV guy.
So we were freaking out. Yeah, the flight got canceled the day of, which
I feel so bad. He's
totally
awesome dude. We met him in
MoneroCon.
In
Denver.
Helped us out there. Really talented guy.
Yeah.
And it was unfortunate that his flight got
canceled.
So,
but we thank you so much, and we'll say it over and over again. Thank you.
But Tony stepped in and took over. And he ran it. I mean, that event, it was a marathon.
It was a marathon.
We started at 8 a.m, and we, it didn't finish till fucking 11 at night. And Tony was there the entire
and set up and packed
up. Help us.
Thank you, man. You were the mitochondria of the house of Monerotopia. Appreciate that.
Thank you, guys. The day started so funny because I was supposed to be there by 5:30, so I had my plans, what I was supposed to do, and someone blocked my car, and so I had to call the cops, and I got that sorted out. And then
he messaged me in the morning.
Oh my God.
Where were you coming from? You drove to Monerotopia, right?
Yeah, I drove. I'm like 2 hours and a half away.
2 hours and a half.
Yeah, and then they drove back that night.
Yeah, that night.
And then he
I
worked
remember.
in the morning.
Yeah, he wanted to go out and get a beer. I was like, no, dude, go home.
I got home by 4:30. But I should have stayed 2 more days. I'm so stupid. I could have been there, but whatever.
It's all good. I know.
So what was your experience like, man, being in the trenches at Monerotopia?
Well, first of all, I need to thank you guys for, allowing me to, help you and, for giving me the opportunity to set up the PowerPoints for everyone. And that was amazing. I got to talk to the speakers a little bit. It was super busy. I didn't get to talk to everyone as much as I wanted just because it was back to back, and it was kind of crazy. But it was amazing. It was more than I expected. There were a lot of amazing people out there. And one thing that I was thinking as I was driving back home is that these people there'll be such a void in the space without every single one of you, without Monero Talk, without Mark doing what he does. Oops.
Oh no! And then he got censored.
That's pretty funny.
Oh, he's in the car. He's at work right now.
Oh no! He'll call back.
Oh, wait,
That's
here
funny.
He is.
You're back.
You're welcome.
Oh no! Hold on. You're muted. Let me unmute you. Oh wait, you're unmuted. You're muted. You're muted.
Muted.
Unmute yourself. There you go.
I was getting so passionate, that. Again, it'll be such a void without Monero Talk, without Mark doing what he does, going to El Salvador, and all the videos that that he's posting, without you know, Seth, everyone. I'm you know, I could mention everyone. It'll be such a void. So it just made me think about what can I do more? How can I get more people to be on board? Because these things are so just so important, and yeah, just made me think about so many things about the community. You know, it's really about the people, not about, you know, going to Laser Eyes 100K. You know, like, no, it's about the people and community, and just thankful for everything.
Yeah, Tony, I think
So,
if I recall correctly, you came up to me at the conference
yes,
and told me
Yep.
that you were actually a Bitcoin maximalist.
yes,
Weren't you?
yeah,
And it was actually
Yeah.
my video that you saw that brought you away from that and ultimately into Monero.
yes. So before I was a huge Bitcoin maximalist. I would disregard any other crypto. I would call them a shitcoin. You know, I had the laser eyes on my Twitter, like, you know, and then I discovered Monero Talk, and I discovered your talk about the dark side of El Salvador, and I didn't know, and I was open for information, and then I took a look into your work, Mark, and then more into Monero Talk. And ever since, you know, when I go to work or when I'm going to the beach, I have Monero Talk in my AirPods, you know, trying to listen to as much as I can. And it's just that's gonna be evolution. You know, you guys are bringing people on board on crypto. It doesn't matter if they go for Bitcoin and then to Monero. It's just about awareness. But yeah, and I'm so happy that I got to, you know, talk to you at the end, Mark. I'm like so happy to do that. But yeah.
By the way, this is unrelated a little bit, but speaking about the laser eyes, the funniest, I think we talked about it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. There's a GIF of a soccer player who's playing soccer, and all the people in the audience are shining lasers into his eyes, and he misses the goal. And that's how I think about the
Oh my God!
great meme potential there. Someone needs to mock that up. Laser eyes.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
That is so funny, because we were talking about how and obviously, like, no hate to Bitcoin people, you know, and they do amazing work, and you know, but it's kind of funny because I feel like for some people, they probably just shoot laser eyes in each other too much, and they don't pay attention to important stuff. So that's like
they're
very good
laser
meme.
focused on number go up.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
so they're like, oh, they can't see Monero from too many lasers, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
no, it was amazing. And next year, two days.
I know.
yeah,
Definitely.
Minimum.
We're definitely
Minimum.
doing that.
Now-
Because yeah, it was just jam packed. So again, kudos to everyone.
What do you think, Tony? Should we continue to do it in Miami alongside Bitcoin, or should we explore?
Do
I
we
mean, 'cause
make
we
it
have
in
some
different
big
locations?
ideas of what we could do with it, especially if you did it in different locations, because it would give us more leeway to find an interesting location where we want to make it more of a village-like experience. So really boost up the vending aspect of it.
Yeah.
A lot of people selling different things for Monero, coming together, maybe even spending, you know, a week together, kind of collectively living off of Monero in our own little, you know, economy.
Yeah.
While obviously having talks. That was the original vision with Monerotopia. It actually started we bought the domain years ago, Moneroville.
Oh yeah,
we were gonna
Monero.
try to do
Oh,
this.
that's so cool.
We were trying to do it in New York, but it was too soon. It would never work. We wanted to do
Yeah,
it
because we were trying to do that
Monero
in New
Carnival,
York.
and you come. And,
Yeah.
And
but
you
I think we're
use
at
Monero.
the point where we can make it. Like this was we have the momentum now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think people would be on board with experimenting. Like we were even thinking, like maybe trying to take over a small village, and maybe in Guatemala where we're getting our coffee, we could go to Antigua.
That's
and do
huge.
it. Or we could do it,
That's
in a village in Mexico.
Mhm.
Everybody goes and rents out all the Airbnbs and hotels around that area.
Yeah.
We get, you know, all the local restaurants to accept Monero for a couple of days. In addition to having
I'll
our
come
own
help you with that.
vendors, like in the center
Yeah.
square,
Yeah.
you know, for a few days.
It's like a bazaar.
Yeah, like a
Nice
bazaar.
Yeah.
What do you think, Tony?
That's so funny that you mentioned that, because I was gonna say yesterday, 2 days ago, I was talking to Andreas. He's the one behind Marriage Sales, and I thought that was very interesting. A peer-to-peer, basically eBay for Monero in crypto. I talked to him actually after the talk, the day after. Probably gonna meet with him next week. But I was just trying to think, how are we going to get more people to use Monero? Like, what's, you know, is it probably gonna be a country like El Salvador, let's say, just making them accept Monero? Because the vendor, if it's peer-to-peer, yes, you give it to the vendor, but then they need to pay electricity in Monero. So I was thinking maybe a village. I was actually thinking about a village, something like that, something small where we can do something peer-to-peer. So I think that will be maybe the first step. I was actually thinking about a village. I think something like that, yeah. And to get onto your question about location, it's a bit, Miami was a good location. I think it's a bit complicated because a lot of people couldn't get in because they weren't vaccinated. They couldn't get into the US. That's one thing. Miami is becoming a new Silicon Valley. So I'm not sure. I mean, Miami was a good choice, but I'm not entirely sure, you know, what's more accessible.
I mean, our thinking was that obviously benefit of Miami is maybe you could pull people that are already here.
Yeah, it made a lot of sense for the first one. It made a lot of sense.
But now we might have our own gravity.
Yeah,
you'd be like, oh, let's go. Yeah. It could be like a thing.
I think that is an option. No, go for it.
No, sorry. So go for it.
I was going to say that I think for adoption, one of the reasons that Bitcoin was successful in El Salvador is because they picked a specific location. Bitcoin Cash picked St. Kitts and Nevis and St. Martin. You need to have a small community where there's a huge amount of localized adoption. When you have that, it's easy for things to kind of spark and spread.
Yeah,
right? And I think that with your platform, with the conference, having a localized community somewhere where Monero would be really useful, that can really have ripple effects that spread that it's hard to account for. So I think doing it in a different place where you can find a really local community and really enrich it is probably the way to go for adoption. It's hard when you're kind of in a place like America.
Yeah.
But if you pick a small village, small place where everyone uses it and there's this closed loop, that's where you really get exponential.
New Hampshire is impressive. Have you been to
that's
New
true.
Hampshire?
I haven't. It's on my list. I'm going there a month or two.
Are you going to
Pork Fest?
Do you know Pork Fest?
I haven't heard of it, but I guess so.
God. Yeah, you got
what date is that?
We're gonna be there.
You're gonna like Pork Fest better than Monerotopia.
It's June 24th, 5th, something like that.
Okay. Yes, I'll be there.
All right, awesome.
Fair enough. We're bringing my 7-year-old daughter. It's like very family oriented.
Just say Pork Fest.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
It's basically a bunch of libertarians hanging out for a week camping.
God, whoa, okay.
It's an entire week,
but
we're going to be there.
Vendors can come and vend whatever they want.
See you there.
All right,
All right.
And most of the vendors accept Monero, Bcash, Dash.
They were Dash.
Really, no Bitcoin. You know, it's like, I mean, Bitcoin's there, but it's not. People aren't using it.
Right.
So just that another good example of seeing real world adoption.
Yeah.
But New Hampshire's a potentially good spot to try to throw a Monero conference.
Yeah, that's true.
As well.
That makes it. You know what? That makes a lot of sense. It really should be Monero. You know, that's like the libertarian hotspot, and
a lot of big Monero people.
Yeah.
At Porkfest. Yeah, you should definitely try to come.
Yeah, I will. I'll be there. 100%.
Awesome.
I don't know what happened.
Is Tony still there? Oh, we lost Tony?
Like, are you coming back?
He's out.
I think battery, maybe?
He's working. He
says he's coming. Break. He goes coming. Yeah, he's on his lunch break.
Ask if anybody else wants to jump on.
I did. Please, guys.
We got a lot of people, decent amount of people.
Yeah.
30 people.
Yeah, look at that.
Jump on, guys.
Jump on. Say hello. Oh, he's back. We got Tony back.
Oh, my God.
What happened? Now we don't see your camera.
Oh, yeah. I mean.
You all right?
One second. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, no worries.
Anyone that's interested in jumping on, please jump on. You don't have to show your faces. Just say hello. Let us know what you thought about the conference. If you were there, let us know what you thought about the virtual conference. If you were
Andreas Antonopoulos talking about Monero.
Hey, by the way, I have a funny anecdote while we wait. So, you know, I don't know if you guys know this, but I have a little bit of bit of a scuffle with Samson Mao. He shared some of my videos on his Twitter to criticize Bitcoin Cash and St. Martin, which was fine. But he did that without crediting me, clipping my video, you know, all this stuff. So I have a little bit of disagreement with that. And I went to the hotel room that I'm staying at here, and I go to the lobby. I set up my laptop. I'm doing work, and I look over at a Samson Mao sitting right next to me. So we're at the same hotel. Very awkward. All right. I have my GoPro. Should I talk with the guy and record it? I decided,
Oh, you should have.
you know what? I would have. I would have. But I wanted to be on my best behavior for this conference because someone gave me a ticket to go, and you know, they have a booth, and I don't want things to reflect on them. But I was like,
You're so tempted.
We're never on our best behavior. We're not even we got kicked out
we got kicked out of Go.
Did you? Last year?
No,
this year. Really?
We were their first media partner. I don't know if you watched the Guns of Bitcoin evolution. But,
Guns and Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Our conference is going on right now.
Yeah.
So it used to be a strictly Bitcoin conference.
Yeah.
And then this year they decided they wanted to start talking about Monero, right? They were like, they were ready to start talking about Monero. And so we did like a Twitter Spaces.
We streamed it on our channel.
With us, we streamed it on our channel, and they announced that they're going to now start accepting Monero for selling products on their website.
That's great.
And for selling tickets. Yeah, it was all
so
great.
What happened?
And we're like, yeah. And they're like, we'll make you guys media partners on our thing. You can make us media partners on Monerotopia. We're like, sure. Yeah. It was all good and grand. And then there was some like Twitter spat where some of the guys that are into Guns of Bitcoin, there's the Samurai wallet dev who I spoke to the guy on the phone numerous times. He was like a great guy. But he had put out some tweet like Monerotopia is a normie fest. I don't know if you follow the Samurai dev guys. They're like, their whole MO is being like
caustic.
Yes. To the point where it's like ridiculous.
Toxic. Yes.
So I responded.
How is Monero the
right,
normie?
Exactly. So I responded. I was like, what? I was like, we're Monero only. I'm like, Bitcoin, Guns and Bitcoin is a little boy coke fest for for you know, where they're not even ready to fully accept Monero. You know, like, whatever it was. It was like something stupid. It's just in response to that.
Yeah.
The Ragnar, the guy who was running that conference, DM'd me. Yeah. And he's like, delete your tweet. I was like, what? I'm like, I'm not gonna delete my tweet, bro. Like,
it's already out there.
Like, you can't handle my response to your people making not a big deal. And then he was like, well, if you're not gonna delete your tweet, we're gonna
remove you as
a media partner. I'm like, so you're not okay with people being at your conference as media that's gonna maybe not agree with everything you represent?
Right.
That's the whole purpose of open press.
Right. That's
supposed to be there as press.
Right.
So what greater form of censorship is there
Yeah.
than banning press from your event, especially press that may be the type of press that instead of just going along with everything you're saying, would actually ask you some difficult questions.
Yeah.
Like, oh, why do you just talk about Monero in terms of being a tool that's going to trend to zero against Bitcoin? Why aren't you ready to talk? You know, whatever the tough questions are.
Yeah.
They eliminated us from that.
Long story short, we're not there.
And that's why we're not there, guys, which is pretty wild because we're Monero Talk, and like it's beautiful to see that they've adopted it.
Yeah.
All the best, and I'm really glad that that's the direction they're moving in, but just odd that they didn't want us to be a part of it, right?
Yeah. But whatever. It is what it is. We're not there.
These personalities, man, and you know, it's
big personalities in crypto.
That's crypto's biggest problem is some of the toxic personalities.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so we have hi Tony, you're back, and we have Nightmare.
So that was a combination between maybe getting DDoS by Bank of America. I got a couple banks, and I think they heard us talk about Monero.
Now you're back again.
Now I'm back.
You're being censored, Tony.
Yes, live. But you know, Monero is persisting, so. But no, to add on what you said about Samurai, I don't think they're in a position to speak since they partner with Chain Analysis. You know, that kind of, you know, the things that they've been doing so far. I mean, I don't know. They're not in a position to speak, I would say. I don't know.
Who's been? Can you repeat that? You cut out for a second.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Samurai Wallet. I don't think that they're in a position to talk, especially since their partnerships with chain analysis and the rest of it. I think
Oh,
they're
are they part? What? Yeah, is that? I'm not sure about that. Yeah, they're partners with. There's a
chain
chain
analysis.
analysis. Samurai Wallet.
Yes, I'm pretty. Yeah, I'm pretty. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that one. I don't want to spread misinformation. I mean,
I'm not sure.
my criticism of them is that they're on this mission to make Bitcoin private and untraceable by creating these convoluted tools that allow you, if you know what you're doing and are careful enough, to maybe make Bitcoin, untraceable, right? And you can hop through and use these tools, and they're doing a good job at trying to make it as user friendly as possible. But why not just integrate Monero, which is already, if that's your mission, right?
Mhm.
Why not use the tool that already exists and that is super user friendly for people to do? Which one step, just acquire Monero, send Monero.
Mhm.
It's not put it through this thing and put it through this thing and then it becomes one. Like, why, if that's your mission, would you then not just adopt Monero? Now they're talking about adopting it in their wallet to be used for atomic swaps. So you'll be able to, and that will be the tool that you'll use to effectively make your Bitcoin fungible, is by atomically swapping into Monero and vice versa. So they're going to add that. But then they always talk about it as, oh, well, don't worry, Bitcoiners, because it's just a tool, so you only use it when you need it, and Monero is trending to 0 against Bitcoin. Like,
Okay.
you're doing a disservice, right? Like, that's my gripe with them, right? So if they actually are into these things, just embrace it, right? Why half-ass it? Yeah.
I think that we need to maybe put a bit the tech away and really think about the people who are going to use this as currency. Think about your mom, your grandma, and your whole family. Are they going to know how to coin join and do all these complicated things just to spend the money? A lot of people don't know how to do this stuff. Monero just works, and Cake Wallet does a great job at bringing us a wallet that is easy to use, and it just works. Like, just spend it and it works. It's private. It's like cash. That's what cash is. It's fungible, and I don't think this whole Bitcoin privacy thing is going to work just because of how complicated it is to be effectively used, and maybe not even. So I'm not sure maybe what's going to happen at the core level. I just don't know. I'm not a big fan.
Yeah, but very good points in terms of the usability of Monero. It just works.
Another thing, do not spread misinformation, but I haven't looked too deeply into it, but I know Samurai Wallet, I guess, is leaning more towards the chain analysis side, and they're blacklisting transactions, I'm pretty sure, as of right now.
Oh, maybe that's Wasabi. I think you're referring to Wasabi.
Oh, Wasabi,
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Any comment? I can't read the comments.
No comments.
Any comments coming in?
No.
Don't have any questions? Is there?
I don't
You
know.
want to bring up?
No, people were
Also,
just
one thing that I may add is that people need to maybe understand that us in the Monero community, we are not really, we call each other maybe as a joke maximalist, but I came from Bitcoin, hardcore Bitcoin evangelist to actually kind of Bitcoin Cash, and then I looked into the other ones. I'm open for anything else, and I looked deeply into. I read all the white papers. I looked a lot into it. I listened to a bunch of podcasts. Just Monero makes sense. Monero makes sense. If in the future something else is gonna make sense, that's great. But for now, Monero makes sense. I was talking to Francisco Cabañas about scalability after the show, Monerotopia, and he opened my eyes a lot. And it just makes sense. Monero makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that was a point I was trying to make at the conference too when I brought him up, because most people there, everybody knows about the fungibility aspects now, right? Monero is private; it's a privacy coin, which I hate calling it that. But a lot of things that people don't really know about that are just kind of getting into it is the fact that Monero is built to be scalable on chain. with its dynamic block size. That's what Tony is referring to right now. And Monero, effectively, as more people use it, it becomes cheaper to send. But the cost per transaction goes down as more people use Monero and more transactions are fit into a block, and the blocks dynamically get larger to use. Were you there for that presentation?
I heard bits and pieces of that.
Because that's a tremendous differentiating factor, once again, between something like Monero and Bitcoin. It's another major difference in terms of how the tech works, and it's not really discussed much because it's a little abstract to think about, but it's really important because it's not just about fungibility. It's really, at the end of the day, it's about censorship resistance, right? The ability to be able to transact freely without any corporation or government stymieing that in any way. And part of that is having transactions stay on chain for as much as possible, so we can deal with that pure decentralized network for the purposes of sending transactions. And Monero does that really well. And the other thing is the mining. RandomX, did you clue into that at all?
Not yet.
Yeah, so the fact that Monero is mined with CPUs.
That I
once again, something that's not really talked about a lot, but another major pillar that makes it true digital cash that's purely decentralized. Anybody with the CPU anywhere, this is a CPU, can fairly compete in the mining of Monero, which is creating a very robust mining network where it would be very difficult for a government to shut it down.
Yeah.
As opposed to Bitcoin that has these, essentially it's federated at this point, where you have a couple of large companies that do the vast majority of all the mining.
Right.
In these warehouses, they're incorporated. The government knows who they are. They know what door to knock on when they have new regulations that they want to put in place with regards to mining. As opposed to with Monero, there's really no doors to knock on. It's spread throughout the world in a decentralized fashion. Just points that things that
those are important.
Info that we need to get out
to
people that are starting to look at Monero to realize there's other aspects.
I think Tony's back in his office. Well, you're muted. I muted you. You're muted. Yep.
Oh.
Now.
Okay.
Now.
I have a actually funny post and funny follow up on what he said. So I think Seth was trying to buy some tacos today, and he was trying to spend bitcoins. But the thing is, they only accept bitcoins that are going through the Lightning Network. They don't accept bitcoins from the layer 1 for the tacos. So I mean, first of all, I hope that Seth got his tacos somehow. But it's just, again, talking about scalability. So we might have the problem of, okay, so you're only going to accept layer 2, but not layer 1.
Exactly.
So it's kind of funny, but not funny.
When I was at the Bitcoin conference too, I found that the concessions would not sell with layer 1. You couldn't buy anything with Bitcoin. You could only use Lightning. And I also found that any of the shops that would accept Bitcoin, which weren't many, most accepted Lightning. If I wanted to pay with Bitcoin layer 1, they gave me a look like, you want to do what? Like, yeah. Like, okay. But that's weird to me. Like, what is the point of even keeping any money? If you're into Bitcoin, that's cool. But logically speaking, why would you ever keep layer 1? Why don't you keep all your money in layer 2? And what's the problem with that? And that was my experience there too.
That's exactly the issue. You're going from a purely, the base protocol level, which is built to be decentralized and censorship resistant, to another layer where you're losing a lot of that decentralization.
Big time.
And
huge.
That's a major cost. It's a major cost, and it's it's worth trying to stay on chain as much as is technologically possible. And Monero is architected in a way where it's doing that to the greatest advantage possible, where it basically the adoption of it is in tandem with the growth of the technology that can handle it. So the blocks dynamically expand, and adoption is happening at a rate that that will probably closely equate to the improvement in technology on the hardware and bandwidth side, because that's the argument, right? Like, okay, it's great that your blocks are dynamic, but are you going to have a network that can handle it? Are computers going to be able to download the entire node fast enough? Are nodes going to be able to propagate fast enough through the internet? And what Arctic Mind explains to people is yes, they will. He gave the punch card example in his thing. He's showing punch cards, and now we have supercomputers in our pocket compared to that. And through Nielsen's law, those things will continue to improve, probably in a way that will match the growth of Bitcoin's adoption on chain. And what do we have at the end of the day? We have people using digital cash in a pure way, using the hardware and the internet technology that we have.
The argument that didn't really make a lot of sense to me as far as Bitcoin goes when it comes to Nielsen's law and all this is they say, okay, well, it won't scale, right? Or Monero, whatever. There's going to be issues with that. So let's just have censorship now. You know what I mean? Right. It's like there might be a problem later,
right? Way
later. Right. So let's just create a solution now. Layer 2 that's already bad. Right. Like it's already
let's ruin it today. Let's ruin it today.
Yeah, because that didn't make sense. And in fact, I'll tell you 2 reasons, and I don't want to kind of distract from the conversation too much, but that I really don't like Lightning and I won't use it. One of the problems is, in fact, if you go on my Twitter and scroll back, you'll see that there's Lightning node operators that are fighting with each other and blocking transactions between each other because one guy doesn't like the vaccine and the other guy does. So they've permanently disconnected their nodes, blacklisted each other. No, don't do that, because we all know how businesses work. We all know how life works. As time goes on, things centralize, right? People buy up nodes, all these things happen. There's camps that form. People have ideological differences, and there's disconnects. So with Lightning, you already have a solution that has censorship. I shouldn't say that. That already has infighting where people don't connect with each other. That's a problem. And the second problem is, and this is the big one for me, and regardless of what you think about Roger Ver, I saw a meme on r/Bitcoin. When I saw this, I was like, I'm done with Lightning. And that is, there was a node that was labeled Roger Ver, and no one else is connecting with it. And that's funny.
Oh, wow.
But you've just shown that you can exclude nodes. And when I talked with a guy who's a Bitcoin maximalist, who's a friend of mine, and I said, this is why I think that Lightning has failed, even off, like, you guys are joking about this thing. And he's like, well, you would never name your node Roger Ver, but it's like, okay, I'm meeting you in person. I'm meeting you. What if you and I, like, we're friends, right? We're getting to know each other. You might, at some point, I'm going to tell you about my node and vice versa, and we become friends. But what happens if we have a disagreement in a year? And now all of a sudden you know who I am, and you expose me online, and you expose my node, and there's just so many ways to fracture it and split things into camps. And it's like, you guys are laughing about this thing with Roger Ver, but that's the death knell right there, to show that you have that potential to lock people out of your network.
It's crazy.
So I have 2 side notes. One is not technical, maybe one is more technical, but a bit funny. I think we should start a hashtag, give Seth his tacos, because the one time he tried to actually spend his Bitcoin, he couldn't because of this layer network. They don't accept layer 1, only layer 2. There's all issues that Mark explained. He has to give Seth back his give him his tacos. We should make a t-shirt. Someone should make that into a t-shirt.
Start protesting.
Yes. Yes. And if you're gonna accept crypto for it, do layer 1 and layer 2. But and then
the Arepa truck was accepting.
Yeah, they accepted
accepting Monero at Monerotopia.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Did we tell you too? We also all our signs that we had for the conference.
Oh yeah.
Really?
We paid the guy Monero.
That's awesome.
Them. The local guy.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you onboard him, or did he already know about Monero?
No, we onboarded him.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
Yeah. When we came here in January for the
tents and some other things we bought, we used Monero. We use coin cards,
Yeah.
gift cards. We're able to buy those things. We used Monero a lot throughout the conference, and then obviously all the tickets.
Yeah.
A lot of
we
people.
were crypto only for tickets.
Yeah.
Great.
No credit, and the vast majority paid with Monero.
Isn't that bizarre that you would have a conference where you even have on a cryptocurrency and you'd even allow fiat to sell the ticket?
Yeah.
Like with the Bitcoin conference?
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
like,
I see the
you know?
reasoning because we did have people reach out to us that wanted to buy a ticket. And
Only
they
like
didn't
a
have
few
I get it.
limited.
I
And
get
then
it.
maybe
Well,
they
you
don't
want
want to
them
use
at the
it.
conference because this is who you want to onboard,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
like, you
okay.
don't- Yeah.
You've changed my mind on
So
that.
even that, but
Makes sense.
we basically created a roundabout way for people that wanted to do it through now payments.
Yeah, now
We made it
payments,
difficult
yeah.
for them, but if like if you wanted to buy, basically what you were doing was you're using your credit card to buy crypto, which then
Yeah.
you bought.
Okay,
To
that's
Monero,
all.
yeah.
Yeah,
And it all
that makes
was
sense.
converted to Monero. But yeah, we allowed that. But actually, a lot of people used the Monero gateway to buy
Yeah.
tickets. So it was really
Yeah.
nice. Of a lot of people.
Maybe,
Yeah, that
maybe
makes
next year we keep it. We don't even allow you to buy a ticket.
No, I think
other
I
than
think you should
Monero.
keep it. Now that you've changed my mind, I think you should keep the option because that makes sense. You want to bring people in who
Yeah.
are like
Yeah,
curious
because
about
then if
it, but
not,
don't
then
know.
they're like,
Yeah.
how do I get it? Because even still, there were
Yeah,
some
that makes
people
sense.
that wanted to buy like the glasses. And
Yes.
at first I was like, Monero.
Yeah.
And they were like, all right, but they figured it out though. They're like,
Right.
all right, I'll be back.
Right.
And then they
Exactly.
went and they
Yeah.
figured it
Yeah,
out and it came
yeah,
back and they're
yeah,
like, I got Monero. Like it was actually,
Yeah,
it was
maybe
like
once
a
they get
test.
there.
See,
Yeah.
I always think that's a good thing to think about too in terms of ideas for adoption. Creating things, services that you could only obtain with
Right.
Monero.
Right.
And they're like, like we went to this fancy place last night, right? What if they only accepted Monero?
Right.
So that makes it part of the exclusive. Oh, you want this experience?
And this
bad
place
enough?
was exclusive.
You got to go figure out how to get Monero and then pay. Maybe not, this is an example. There could maybe be product services
Yeah.
that people covet enough where they're like, all right, let me figure out how to. I mean, obviously we see that on the dark market, right? That's what's happening there.
Mhm.
There's something that somebody wants, and the only way they can get it is with Monero. They're
Right.
going to go get Monero to do it. But maybe there's less controversial product services.
And it doesn't even need to be that extreme. I mean, one of the advantages of accepting cryptocurrencies, specifically Monero, is that there's no credit card fees, right? So there's no reason why a local cafe or business couldn't say, hey, if you use cryptocurrency, you get 2% off or 3% off. It doesn't hurt the business anyway.
Yeah.
And that's a great way
Yeah.
to encourage the use. So I think that anything like that is really positive.
Tony, did you get your swag bag? Did you get a swag?
Yes.
Yes,
Did you see the cards that you put in there?
Yes, I did. And so one thing, when I purchased my Monerotopia ticket, I paid 0 in fees, and I paid 0.0000002 in Monero fees, I think. And I think I memorized it just to get it right, something like that, something super low. But I think what we saw at the conference, what was very interesting is that people, even if they don't have access to Kraken or things like that, I've seen people, or someone even asked me if I can give them Monero for cash. Like people were giving each other cash, and then they were just like, get Cake Wallet and I'll give you the Monero. So even if they do go to that restaurant that you talked about that might be exclusive, or that experience exclusive to Monero, just like do like a local Monero, be on site, and someone is going to give you Monero.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Very
And
impressive. We'll do that.
one question to Mark, have you thought about making a video now that we talked about layer 1 and layer 2 problems? Maybe you should make a video about just like your experience, maybe being rejected by layer 2 when you're trying to spend your Bitcoin on layer 1, because people don't know about this, or I don't know.
Yes.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, that's true. That is
That
really
would be very interesting.
And
I don't think it's true.
it's one thing
Probably
not
don't.
wanting to send Bitcoin on layer 1, but it's another thing to not want to accept it, because it's not like you're paying a fee to
Again.
accept it.
Yeah, and again, Seth didn't get his tacos again.
Seth didn't get his tacos.
Didn't get his tacos.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Um,
I think we're at 148
All
mark.
right, it's a long one.
It's been a long week, my friends. I think.
Mark, man, thank you so
Hey,
much.
thanks so
for
much.
coming
Thank
Great
you
seeing
today.
so much
Yeah,
for,
absolutely.
for
Thank you for inviting me down.
reporting.
Yeah, and
the conference and then coming here doing the show.
Oh,
This is awesome.
great.
really looking forward to what
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
release, seeing some of the video.
I know.
Yeah, so for anyone watching, I'm putting out a Monerotopia video that I think is for me, it was outstanding to learn. And I'm really excited about more people who watch my channel that don't know Monero or have heard about it or use it, getting more of a perspective on what it's all about. So
Cool, man. Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's encouraging to us to see you get interested in Monero.
Yeah.
Like you came here open mind,
Mhm.
and your analysis led to actually.
Yeah.
I'm more into Monero more than ever. So
Yeah.
and you know, to see a guy like you know, move in that direction.
Yeah.
So awesome to see.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, all right, guys. Thank
I would
you,
like
Tony.
to close with just one more thing. I just want to say that, especially maybe to the Bitcoin people or other people from different cryptos, or other, from Zcash community, or we are just really trying to solve the privacy, the fungibility issue. We're just trying to fix these issues, and we are just gonna point the issues in Monero and in your currency, whether it's Bitcoin or whatnot. But it's all about just getting people on board. And it's not about forget laser eyes and all this stuff. Let's just get people on board. People really need it. Marta talked about the issues in Cuba. People really need it. So let's just work together and get people on board. And thank you guys so much for Monerotopia. Next year is gonna be amazing. Again, minimum 2 days. And
Yeah.
good luck to you guys.
We'll be coordinating with you, Tony.
Yes.
You could help us, build the next Monerotopia from day one.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, and to close, Seth, you're gonna buy tacos with Monero because we discriminate.
Seth, you're gonna get those
Bye.
We got Seth the
All right,
pina
thank you.
colada with Monero yesterday. We
Yeah,
were
yeah.
able to get him that.
I think that's better than the taco. So.
Yeah, better than a taco. It was
Awesome.
very delicious.
Yeah, we convinced the guy on the beach to accept Monero for he was selling pina coladas.
That's huge.
Yeah.
It was really huge.
And
Oh,
then
yeah.
last night we convinced our waiter. And yeah, that was the
Seen
point
it,
with the
yeah.
cards. Those cards that we gave out to everybody. I don't know if you took a good look at them. Did you see them?
Oh,
Mark?
I did.
Yeah.
They're excellent.
So they're just a simple way to onboard people. And anybody that wants
Yeah.
these cards, maybe we should put them for sale on Monerotopia.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we can send them to you at cost, whatever. But basically, it's business card size. The front tells the person, hey, I want to essentially tip you or give you a gift for your services, not a tip, because it's not taxable, right? We're noting that this is a gift, not a tip, which is a libertarian trick to do, right?
Wow.
With the
Awesome.
QR code saying, download Cake Wallet here right now, so I can send you your Monero gift, and then on the back, a space for you to write your 25 words for that person to write their 25-word seed. And so the idea is you can, go into a cafe. When you meet the waiter, you can slip them the card, be like, go read this for a minute. They can come back, and then by the time you're ready to check out, you'll have them easily on board, and you can send them their tip in Monero. And you'd be surprised, right? So how often do I get people like?
Yeah.
It's pretty good return
Yeah,
rate once
it
you
is.
really start. And the
Yeah.
real mind expanding thing for them is once I do send it,
Yeah.
and as I'm sending it, I was like, all right. I'm like, you see what just happened there? I'm like, no. By the way, nobody knows that just happened.
Mhm.
Nobody knows I just sent you this amount of Monero as your tip.
Gift.
As your gift. Nobody can see
I'm
it.
learning.
It's not, they're like, is it like Venmo? Like, no, it's not like Venmo. Venmo, the banks see, everybody see. I'm like, this is like cash, and I take out cash. It'd be like if I just put this in your pocket, which is between me and you.
Mhm.
And that's kind of when their eyes open, and they go, oh,
Yeah.
I might want to, use this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
All right, guys.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony, for helping us out. Thank you, Mark, for joining us
Thank you,
today. And
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Monero Talk, Monerotopia. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone,
Ciao.
for
Bye, everyone.
joining. And in regards to the virtual conference, I was told they're going to be reaching out with a link for replays for those of you that, because we had a little internet issue during the virtual conference.
Yeah, that was run by the Crypto Vigilante.
And we thank them for helping us with
so they're
streaming the conference.
They're
That was
fixing
awesome.
up the video.
The videos,
They're
yeah, so you're gonna get a
responsible
link.
for getting it out, and they will.
Yeah, they will. But that meaning in regards to the replays for the people that
For the
did
people that
purchase it.
paid.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
paid for
Yeah,
the
so
virtual ticket. stay tuned. They will be emailing you, I believe, sometime today
And they're fixing
with
it
an
up.
update. Yeah, they're just fixing up the video, and they'll give you access.
And then
for replays.
eventually, we're going to get that video, and we'll post it for free on our YouTube channel.
for you
We've
guys.
always been about giving all our content out. So that was the
it's
deal
gonna
we
be in the
made
next-
with the
yeah,
Crypto
it's
Vigil.
gonna be in a
Like,
couple of
you
weeks.
could come
though.
and do virtual conference, but it's not about making the material proprietary. We want to keep it open and free.
They
So
always do. But yeah, it's
give
gonna
us
be in
a
a couple of weeks, but they're
give us a few
fixing
weeks
it up.
and we'll post that.
Yeah.
So
They're fixing it up. So yeah, just wanted to make you guys all aware. And just make sure to subscribe if you haven't.
oh yeah, we never tell
I know
people.
we never
subscribe.
say that. Make sure to like the video, please. And yeah, thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate your love and your support. And with that, we'll see
you
you.
at Guns of Bitcoin.
See,
We're headed over there, guys.
yeah, right now.
Cheers,
Bye.
Alpha.
It just keeps going.
I need that crypto bear outfit.
Oh my God. All right. Goodbye.
Ciao.
See you guys.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube and Odyssey, or listen to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or join us in the Monerotopia Telegram group. See you all next week.